Hello, everyone. So, this part of my macro video is about extension tubes. I got one from JJC. It's micro four thirds, but since I have a speed booster on the uh, OM3 with the EF Canon lens, 40 millimeter, I thought I'd try it out also. I tried it out also on OM Systems lenses too, and I'll give you the lowdown about this. So I ordered three. They gave me two, 10 and 16. Okay. And a little myth about that. But the thing is, you take it apart and you can unhook it. So this is the 10, this is the 16 millimeters. What happens is there's no lens in here. What happens is it gives an extension where the light gets thinner. It's like when you have a zoom lens and you zoom in, the shutter part gets smaller and smaller and it gets sharper. So, with that being said, I'm going to show you some pictures. Once I get this all lined up. Here we go. There is one thing about this, which I will state, that I did have a little difficulty getting a 16 millimeter off of the camera. So you have to watch out for these to make sure that they don't tear anything up, that it fits perfectly. I had no problem with the 10 millimeter. So I'm going to put this back in. We're going to show you some pictures. Now, this is with the Canon EF 40 millimeter. And you can see on a macro, this is not a, well, it is a macro lens, all right, partially, but it's like a 1x2. And I like the 45 millimeter I have on the Panasonic. It's a 1x2. It's not a 1x1. But as you can see, I got real close to this flower. And that little black spot on the right, I will show you what it is shortly. It's not that. I went outside. It was very sharp. The only thing is that when you have things moving, blowing in the wind, and it started to rain out there, things do get blurry. Okay? That's the only bad thing about the extension tube. Takes a little bit longer time in focusing, and I had to put it in manual focus. But with the wind blowing, I had to hold sometimes the leaves. This is with the, I think the 16 millimeter. And that's a picture. So I can get a little bit closer. But you see the wind problem. It was moving. Even if I could get closer, and you get a lot of bokeh out of it, but I wanted to say these to show you you can use an actual lens that's not macro, and I was using the 20 millimeter on these. This is dependent on or the OM system f1.4 in aperture priority mode, but in manual focus mode. And you see, I was just giving up. And this is with the 20 millimeter, you get right on top of the subject. So, and that's a picture. That's the Orkey's mouth. So let's finish that part. Now, a macro. Why am I showing you this? Well, with the Canon EF, what I want is kind of like an all-in-one lens. I've used the 28-400 on the Nikkor Z lens, which is on the Nikon Z8, ZF, Z6 III, other cameras I owned. It does pretty good macro work too. But I was using the Canon EF. I wanted to see with this Speedbooster, and you can see a bird right there. I mean, he's sharp. That it can take regular photographs, but then it can also do a little macro. Okay, and this is kind of like a 1.2 macro, like the 45mm, which I'll show you shortly. But, you know, with both lenses, I want to get some wide shots also. And here we go with the 45mm. So this is pen or micro four thirds, and I think it did better than the Canon with the Speedbooster, or even with the extension tubes from JJC. And you can see a bee right here. It was flying around. But with macro shots and stuff, this is what you want. Something that is capable of doing stuff. So that's why I like the 45mm. I was looking at the 30mm, which I hear is excellent. I just haven't decided on that one. I'm still looking at the 100mm, but I will show you some pictures with the Nikon. A true one-to-one macro. But you see, I want to get some wide field of shots. 100mm narrows the field of view, or the angle, I should say. But as you can see, multi-purpose lenses. I want to get wide shots, and then I want to get in close for macro shots. And as you can see, I got this part finished, and it's raining today, so I'll finish that. And then I'll be halfway done with my staining of my fence. But as you can see, macro, and if it's a little blurry, it's because of the wind. These were in autofocus. So I had an easier time using the micro four thirds macro lenses focusing with autofocus. The extension tubes, I had to use manual focus. And you see less light also. Less pop in the color, you know, when using the extension tubes. But with the original micro four thirds macro, that's what I would recommend. It did a better job than the Speedbooster and the Canon EF 40mm, but I wanted to show off that. Okay, this is the last part. So what you can see is the Nikon ZF Koenig Brown on the right with the 105mm f2.8s. I also put on the 40mm or 20mm Lumix G, and it's a f1.7. You can see the Canon EF 40 millimeter using on top or attached to the Metabones Speedbooster 0.71x. And then, of course, the extension tubes, the 10 and 16 from JJC for Micro Four Thirds. So let's look at these last pictures. This is with the 40 millimeter extension tube. You have to put it in manual focus. But you see, I have a hard time focusing with this. But this is all the 20 millimeter. And you can see, you can get a little bit closer. But there's distortion in the lens, especially when you can look at Figurine right here. Look at the left side of his face. They're elongated, and then you can see it just wouldn't focus. So I went to the regular macro 1:1. It's the 1 to 5 millimeter f2.8s on the Nikon ZF. So this is what I'm taking pictures of. This is the very tip of the flower, this part right here, okay? And then went into the bedroom, and you can see the cloth. These are all fake. You can see where I was focusing on, where everything else is blurred. Now, I had a little difficulty here because I couldn't keep steady, all right? And I finally got a good shot. Same thing here, all right? When you put in manual focus, and this part is this part right here. Amazing, isn't it? So would you rather have a 1.1 macro, or a 1.2 is good enough for you? So this is at 105 millimeters. Did my candy bowl in the dining room, and that's this part right here. And then China. So this is in landscape mode. And I think these are just artifacts or from lights and stuff, okay? Same thing here. And this might have been the autofocusing, light. But you see, this is an autofocus. That's in manual focus. Take that back. Autofocus, autofocus, manual focus. And that should be the last one. So, as you can see, I gave you quite a choice with extension tubes, Speedbooster with extension tubes, which did a lot better than just with the extension tubes. And but when I put the 20 millimeter on there, it did better on the 10 millimeter than the 16 millimeter. The 16 millimeter extension tube, you're right on it. I mean, you're that much close to the product. Even if you get, closer images or magnified, I still have problems of keeping the camera steady. So the 45 millimeter Micro Four Thirds, and also the Nikon Z 100 millimeter macro work the best, okay? So no speed boosters, no extension tubes, unless you're on a tripod, and you got to make sure that the subject is not blowing in the wind, not moving, okay? Then the shots are a little bit closer, a little bit more magnified, but I just wanted to show you the difference between extension tubes, speed booster, and regular macro lenses, and a regular lens. I used the 20 millimeter f1.4 and then this lens right here, which is the Panasonic. The OM system 21.4 you've seen before. And you see that's a third of the size of this one. But it's a 1.7, okay? Hope this was helpful. You know, you got to experiment with things. This is just the first try. I've done macro with the original lenses, okay, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. But it's touchy. Most of the time, you got to have, you know, the subject not moving. You got to have in a tripod. You have an external switch to click on it. And I did that quite a bit with the Z6 III. But anyway, thank you for watching. Remember, stay safe, keep smiling, and I'll see you next time. Bye, folks. Have a wonderful day.